What's up, my phantoms? PhantoMask here. Here are 8 true horror stories that will keep your mind running from Buzzfeed community. Don't forget to turn CC on to read along with the stories. The first story is called A Deal with the Devil. Written by Alfonso Sloan Owen. I was obsessed with digging through my mother's bookshelves when I was a child. One day while rummaging, I found a book on the occult, so I decided to take it up to my room and make a pact with the devil, you know, as 11-year-old children do. Alone in my room, I read aloud various parts of the book until I was certain I found an incantation that was sure to bind my soul to the Dark Lord. Immediately upon finishing the vow, the little overhead light in my bedroom went out. I do not mean the light bulb burned out, it completely shattered. To this day, I'm not entirely sure if I have ownership over my immortal soul. The second story is called The Handprints. Written by Stacy Toppy. When I was in high school, only about 2 or 3 years ago, kids would always talk about this haunted dirt road in the middle of nowhere called Old State Road. There were tons of rumors about things that would happen on this road, like a woman hanging from the bridge above it. The rumor that's relevant to my story was that there was a bus full of children that was hit on the train tracks. It was rumored that if you put your car in neutral on the train tracks, and put baby powder on the back, the ghosts of the children would push your car off, and you could see their handprints left. One night, I went with my best friend, and we picked up one of our good friends and her 2 guy friends. When we got on the road, we had one of the guys drive because we were so scared. When he got to the train tracks, he turned the car and lights off. No one got out of the car to put anything on the back. We begged him to move, but he didn't, and we sat there. Nothing happened and we didn't see that car move. Disappointed, my best friend and I dropped the others off at home. When we got to her house around 1 a.m., we decided to look at the back of the car just for fun. When we put a flashlight on it, there was a thin layer of dust, and tiny, childlike handprints all over the back of her car, when no one had gotten out or touched it. The third story is called The Click. Written by Annie Marie Harankar. I was getting ready for bed late one night, wearing minimal clothes, because it was a hot summer night, with the windows open. I clicked off the bedside lamp and turned over to go to sleep. It was pitch black in my room, because that's the only way I can sleep. Just as I closed my eyes, I heard clear as day the shutter of a camera click from over my shoulder. I whirled around and fumbled for the light, but when it turned on, there was no one in sight. I shrugged it off as my imagination, and I hesitantly turned the light back off and curled up once more. Just as I completely dismissed any fears as an overreaction, I heard a low chuckle coming from over my shoulder once more. My bedroom's on the 2nd floor. Before we continue, I humbly ask you to like the video and subscribe to my channel. It helps the YouTube algorithm. The fourth story is called Beware the Ouija. Written by Ain Freya. My uncle died when he was 23. It was a violent and angry death. He took his own life. I was born a year to the day he killed himself, after being 2 weeks late already. Because of that, I've always felt like I have a connection with him. One summer when I was about 10 or 11, my cousin and I were sitting in his old bedroom talking about what we thought he was like. We decided to try and contact him with a makeshift Ouija board, but of course we both shouted at the other for moving it, and it was a bit of a bust. I don't really believe in the Ouija thing anyway. So, we went to bed. We were woken up in the morning by our granny asking us who had broken it, but she wasn't mad, she just wanted to know who had broken it. We had no idea what she was talking about, and she led us into the front room, where a photo frame with a picture of our late uncle was on the floor with the glass smashed. The recent birthday cards for my granddad were all still propped up on the fireplace. Condolence cards for my late uncle's would-be birthday were scattered on the floor. The fifth story is called Nobody Else's Home. Written by Rogers 2687. Back in high school, my friend claimed her house was haunted. After a night of dinner/shopping, we stopped back at her house so that she could let the dogs out. Two weird things happened. First, the three of us, myself, friend A and friend B, searched all over the living room for the dog leash, but couldn't find it. We left the room to look for it somewhere else, and when we came back, the leash was sitting on the coffee table in plain sight. There's no way all three of us would have missed that after searching for 10 minutes. It was like somebody had put it there when we left the room. Second, my friend B goes to take the dogs outside, and I/friend A are just hanging out in her living room waiting. All of a sudden we hear a man's deep voice call out friend B's name, and so we both respond. She's in the backyard, taking the dogs out. We assumed it was her stepdad or brother who had just returned home. Friend B comes back inside, and we told her that her stepdad/brother was looking for her, and she told us they weren't in town that weekend. Friend B looked all over the house for a family member, and nobody was home. The sixth story is called The Shower. Written by Andip12. In college, I worked as a supervisor at our fitness facilities. There were two gyms, about a mile apart from each other. One was newly constructed and the other was an original campus building, so it was about 90 years old. It was a summer semester, so we were operating on a limited staff. I was charged with closing the older building up for the night, but a nasty storm was coming in, think potential for tornadoes, so I sent the other employees home early, and went through the process alone. I had to walk top to bottom in the 4-story building to ensure all the doors and windows were locked, and while I wasn't crazy about it, I also wasn't scared because the building was very familiar to me. I kept in contact with my counterpart at the other building via radio, and went about my business. Nothing was out of the ordinary until I made my way to the women's locker room on the first floor. I did my sweep, checking all the shower and bathroom stalls, closing lockers, etc. Something I'd done 100 times before. I had just reached the exit and flipped the light off when I heard the unmistakable noise of a shower curtain being pulled back on a metal rod. I stopped. My heart started to beat faster, and I knew I needed to go back and check even though I didn't want to. I stepped outside, gathered my nerves, and went back in. I flipped on the light and made my way down the shower bay. I could see that the curtain in the final stall was pushed all the way to left. I questioned whether or not it was actually closed when I walked by the first time, and pulled it shut again. I walked back to the exit, and as soon as I turned off the lights I heard it again, the sound of a shower curtain sliding on a metal rod. My heart was beating uncontrollably at this point, and I felt my knees get weak. I stepped outside and radioed my counterpart at the other facility, hoping he was going to say someone was playing a prank on me. Instead, he told me that they were closing down because of weather, and I should try to get home as quickly as possible. With that, I was convinced that no one else was in the building with me. Being the macho 21-year-old that I was, I decided to go back in the locker room and check the shower bay one more time. I flipped on the light, walked to the showers, and saw the same curtain pushed to the left. I quickly closed it and half-jogged to the door. As soon as I turned off the light, the sound of the curtain opening met my ears. Suddenly, not feeling very brave, I ran to the main entrance, set the alarm, and ran from the building as quickly as possible. The seventh story is called The Apparition. Written by Sally Sparrow. My brother often stays up really late and annoys me when I'm trying to sleep. One night I woke up and saw a dark, tall figure in my doorway, so I yelled at my brother to go away. The figure stayed there, just staring at me. Eventually I got fed up yelling at my brother, so I sat up, and that's when I saw the figure more clearly. Its eyes were hollowed out, and it had a small head and a long white neck. I sat back in bed, terrified, and then the figure kind of turned and crumpled in on itself, like it was dissolving into particles, and it made this sound like someone exhaling. I still have no idea if it was real or just a hallucination, but it was horrible to say the least. The 8th story is called Never Go Camping. Written by Katie Kate 1988. My boyfriend and I went camping together one weekend. This was back before digital cameras were a thing, so we brought a few disposable ones. We had a good day, took a lot of pictures, etc., etc. We went to sleep that night in our sleeping bags, with the tent completely zipped up. We both swear to this. So after the trip we went and dropped our cameras off to get developed, and when we picked up the pictures, we saw there was a series of pictures taken of us from inside the tent, while we were sleeping, that we obviously didn't take ourselves. I thought right away that my boyfriend must have had a friend come and take them as a prank, but I was looking at his face when he saw the pictures and his reaction, he definitely didn't know about them either. To this day we don't know who took the pictures. Thank you for listening. If you make it this far, make sure to subscribe and like, and check out our playlist for more terrifying stories. Share with a friend who might like this.